What's a low-effort job, with a surprisingly high salary? I do admin work, for the government. My pay is $55K. At best, I get 5 emails a day, with about 2 that actually concern me. No BS, my phone has rang, about 20 times, since June 1st. On a super busy day, I have, about 45 minutes worth, of work to do. IT manager, at a university. The techs know their jobs, their users, and manage their own schedules and workloads, among themselves. Managers basically just have to rubber stamp time cards, confirm parts orders, and make sure the techs don't all take vacations at the same time. I worked as a massage model at a massage school. My job was to lay there and be massaged for a few hours while the students did their lessons or took their exams. It was £30 an hour, which isn't loads, but better than the £10 an hour office job I had before. Edit, just to clarify, this wasn't a full-time job. It was fairly casual, probably between 4 and 10 hours a week, depending on how busy the school was that week, and only for maybe 3 or 4 months. You're getting paid to get massages that normally cost you money. Sounds nice, just maybe the massages are low quality. Owning a parking lot. Oh man. My aunt and uncle own a fairly large field, right outside of a small town. They do all of their harvesting by the end of August. Come the second week of September, a huge harvest festival is held. The town sees like 500,000 visitors in a weekend. They clean the F up every year for it, by charging $12 a day to park. They even let people camp there, and charge $45 a night for camping. It's crazy. They don't even do anything. They have a bunch of kids volunteer to park cars, as a part of school community service. They donate maybe a quarter of the earnings, and pocket the rest, for operational costs. Over the course of my many careers, I can confidently say that there's an inverse relationship between how taxing my work has been, and how much I've gotten paid. The most gut-wrenching, physical and emotionally intensive labor, was lowest paying. The highest paying was chilling out on some meetings and making comments every now and then on spreadsheets. Truer words were never spoken. The hardest job I've ever had was McDonald's, and I did temp labor forever. Still work regularly in construction. Nothing broke my soul more than good old MCDs. If you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean. And that was actually said with a straight face and stern voice. Another former MCD slave here can confirm about the time to lean, time to clean quote. Also, if you are shitting water and sick with the flu, and almost black out from the toilet to the couch, that is apparently still not a good enough excuse to call in 5+ hours before a shift, even though they make you sign contracts saying you won't come in and work while sick. Literally the worst. I have some relatives that work for the U.S. federal government that often talk about jobs where they work in areas like accounting and project management that make over $100,000, and might on a busy day have as much as 2 hours of actual work. My aunt was talking about this one older woman, near retirement, that made over $120,000 a year, and her only job was running some transactions every morning, which usually took no more than 20 minutes, then she would spend the rest of the day knitting at her desk. This is why a transition from government work to the private sector is a difficult thing to accomplish. Especially in my line of work, there is a strong stigma against hiring people out of government positions, because of how little work those jobs demand. My workplace just hired a new manager, whose only employment history is in the government, and this person is honestly beyond useless. Driving me up the effing wall. Zero useful skills, beyond scheduling meetings. Does not understand the simplest parts of the tech we use, not like failure to understand concepts, I'm talking. Spent 2 hours not being able to find the big red button on the screen, level shit. Accomplishes next to nothing tangible. I don't understand how this person was hired or how they haven't been fired yet. My next door neighbor works in a power station. His job is to sit in front of a monitor and make sure everything is working well. If something goes wrong, he calls the appropriate workstation and they fix the problem. Because an alarm sounds if something is out of sync, which rarely happens, he is able to play games or read a book 99% of the time. He is on $150 per hour to basically play games and chill at work. My current job: project manager for US-based Fortune 200 company, permanent work from home, make 6 figures, and I do maybe 4 hours of actual work each week. I have my home office set up, where I have 2 gaming monitors connected to my gaming laptop, sitting on my desk directly in front of me. Then I have my work laptop sitting to one side that's got the volume turned up, so I hear if I get an email or message. When I do, I handle that, then go back to my personal laptop. Most days, I'm either playing video games, watching movies, browsing Reddit, studying for new certifications, or doing stuff around the house like laundry, dishes, cleaning rooms, food prep, etc. People on my team constantly say things like, "Man, this workload is insane. I've got the same and even more than some. It's so boring." But they're paying me to D around most days. In Australia, lollipop ladies can earn up to $3,000 per week for flipping a slow/stop sign for traffic at roadside construction site, and just generally existing as eye candy. The boredom, overtime, and risk of death/injury kind of makes up for it. Flagging on highway construction jobs was a very coveted summer student gig when I was young. It looked horrible though. Standing out on a dusty highway in 90 Fahrenheit heat every day, with the risk of getting run over by someone impatient or out to lunch? Nah. When I visited Australia, I got into a weird conversation with an Uber driver, where he mentioned how much money lollipop girls make, without explaining what one was. I assumed he was talking about something way different. International pilot. I make $200,000 a year as a wide-body first officer. None of the decisions fall to me. I fly one leg to Europe, I get a couple-hour nap on each leg, I get 24 to 48 hours in a cool city, then I fly one leg home, couple-hour nap again on the way home. When I'm home, there is nothing I could conceivably do for work, so I just get to enjoy my many days off. Don't get me wrong, the training was intense, but man, my job now is stupid easy. I had a job like this. I got paid $28 an hour, working as an administrative assistant in a high school. It takes like 15 minutes to input grades and send truancy letters. Answering phone calls always resorts to just transferring them to the principal or school nurse. Literally nothing to do. I left the job because there's no work in the summer, school is closed, and honestly, the environment was toxic. When you have that much free time at work, people want to start talking about their personal lives, and I don't like to talk about mine to my toxic coworkers. So, I left. This job was the definition of money doesn't buy happiness. Business intelligence/data analyst. Do you know how to use Excel? Can you write basically SQL? Are you able to express yourself clearly and deal with getting variations of the same 10 questions for the rest of your career? Congrats, welcome to making 100K. School board members. Don't know about other places, but school board members at my school, public school, made well over €5K a month, well above the average. All the board ever did was create shitty rules and then remove them. They always acted so damn busy. When everyone knew, they drank coffee while surfing Facebook the entire day. A school member's husband even said that, so you know it's true. Where I live in the US, school board positions are almost always volunteer positions. No pay, except maybe reimbursement for certain activities, like travel. Call center management. Not even something high up, like operations or quality assurance. Even being middle management can be lucrative. I've worked a few call center jobs. The people on the bottom absolutely get overworked, stressed out. But once you get to management, it's effing easy. Last call center job I worked, I got promoted to management just due to how long I had been there. After the promotion, I was paid $50K per year to sit at home, listen to people do their job, fill out paperwork, and have the occasional web meeting. I spent more time playing video games and working out than anything else while on the clock. Funniest part to me is that when I gave my notice, they tried to offer me a promotion to stay because I was such a hard worker. I was super tempted to laugh and tell them how little work I actually did in a day. If you can land it, but very difficult, architectural 3D modeler and render guy. Usually firms hire out the work, or they have interns do it. Some firms never have this set up, so I become that guy, make around $90K in LA. Usually I model buildings in 3D, texture, then render. It's fun, and no one bugs you. I have everything sort of automated, except for the building part. I give them around a week, so I can get the renders out. Believe it or not, jobs usually pay what they do, for a reason. You might be able to point out a particular instance of somebody having very little work to do, and still drawing a high salary, but there is a reason that the role itself pays that sort of salary, regardless of the workload of any individual within that role. Further, effort is not the only determining factor for salary. Digging ditches takes an incredible amount of physical effort, but makes far less than most white-collar jobs. Most of the high-salary jobs that you can point to as being low effort are going to have their own drawbacks or requirements that drive the salary up so high. Usually, this takes the form of rare knowledge or ultimate responsibility for making calls and living or dying by how correct those calls are. So, you could find yourself in a low-effort job, making a high salary, but still sweating every day from the stress of wondering if you made a bad call and might lose it all. Fractionation operator. Only HS degree. I have made over 6 figures the last 3 years. I have subscriptions to every streaming service, because basically all I do at work is watch series and movies. Especially on midnights. Sometimes we get busy, but for the most part, it's super boring and just chilling out. We have a turnaround next week that will last 2 weeks and we will have to do actual work, which will suck. But other than that, it's just browsing the internet and watching Netflix. Staffing and recruiting, but specifically on the business development or sales side of things. I don't even make sales calls much anymore. It's just repeat clients. They call me up and say, "Hey, we need a quality manager ASAP." I say cool. What does it pay, and what are the top 3 things you need to see on a resume? I get that, and then give it to recruiters, who spend a week or 2 finding the right person and walking them through the hiring process. I spent 15 minutes on the phone and a month later, I get a fat commission check. Edit. It's easy now. Building a book of business, and learning enough about every type of position that exists, at every industry, to the point where you know what you are talking about, and people will trust you, was hard. Tour guiding. I'm a water tour guide in Hawaii. I make 4 times what the average person my age makes. Half the time, I'm chilling in the water, or on the boat, the other half, I'm a lifeguard, information dude, and boat flight attendant, LOL. Thank you tourists. Truck driver. Seriously, look into it. There is a huge demand for truck drivers right now, and I'm not talking the Amazon delivery guys. You can even get a local route and work regular work hours, and make a lot of money for having the skill of driving. My family is full of truck drivers. It is difficult and deteriorating to your health. Sure, you get a lot of breaks, but you don't get proper nutrition, and if you are solo, it gets really boring. Your mind goes crazy. There is also danger with malfunctioning of the truck, even if you do the checks. As a truck driver, it's much more than just the skill of driving. You have to have constant situational awareness, mental focus, and maneuvering skills to place your truck where it needs to be when making a delivery or arriving at a shipper. You also need to be able to properly maintain appropriate gears when climbing and descending mountains or hills, make appropriate use of the engine brakes to avoid burning up your brakes, and doing a pre-trip on well over 100 different points on the truck and trailer. Truck driving also utilizes trip planning skills from using a GPS, road map, and knowing where you can and can't stop for a 30-minute break/10-hour reset. It's a lot more work than it looks on the outside. Senior full stack developer. This, so much. I'm really confused why they keep paying us all this money. I chatted with a recruiter from another company last week who says his company would start me at $250,000 if I pass the interview, and it's fully remote. I can live anywhere. This is not a hard job. Some kinds of writer. 99.9% of novelists, poets, and playwrights make sucky money. People who do technical writing earn more, but not enough given the time and expertise needed. But it's also possible to crap out content in certain fields. I'm looking at you, health and fitness, self-development, and positive psychology, at 100 pounds per hour plus. No specialist knowledge, originality, or talent required. Overnight security. Just sit there for 8 hours, watching cameras, and calling the police if something happens. 2 years ago, I had to visit the ER at a hospital, and while waiting for approximately 4 hours to be checked, I saw 4 different security guards just roam around the hospital hallways with their cups of coffee, and no action back and forth. I don't know how much they get paid, but the hardest part of the job is probably all that walking around. Radiological control technician. 85K base, 100K, if you work 1 weekend a month, and plenty earn, 150K plus. I'm making $45 an hour right now, browsing Reddit, and all I have for work today is 1 hour of tours. That's my workload. Doesn't really change. Depends on where you live, but in my neck of the woods, firefighters get paid 6 figures, and spend most of their time chilling. Of course, when you're called to work, you really got to work, and you don't get to just leave work, to go home when your shift is over, when shit goes down. Here firefighters get called to basically everything. It could be a house burning down, drunk homeless guy, passed out, in bus shelter, or grandma fell down the stairs. Doesn't matter, they're the first ones there. Downtime is basically all maintenance on the equipment, trucks, etc. An old pal of mine delivers expensive boats to customers by simply sailing them from where they were purchased to where the new owner wants. That's not really a job, is it? So, whatever he makes is surprisingly high. I mean, it is a job. You would have to know how to sail a boat, which is not exactly simple, plus, you're taking responsibility for expensive boats. That is definitely a job, and one that you could get yourself killed doing, if you don't know the key skills. Solar sales. Just have a few conversations with homeowners, go over proposals for them, and then sign like 3 pieces of paperwork. Our project management team takes care of most of the work after that. Easily make about $2,000 a sale. Made 11 sales last month, and it's my 2nd month in the industry. Already on track to easily make 120K plus this year. I have an English degree. Life is good. I also love this job, because I'm actually helping people save thousands of dollars and the environment. The industry is booming and I give it a decade, before almost half American homes are solar powered. This is a door-to-door sales job. It is generally true with these jobs that commissions are high, but they are contracting jobs with zero base pay. Hence, if you don't make sales, you get nothing, even if you work 100-hour weeks. I've worked in door-to-door sales for 5 years myself, and solar is the newest trend, but I have yet to see someone have much success with it. I have a cousin that sold phones, cars, etc. and hasn't closed a single solar contract in 4 months, a full-time trying. If you want to get into this, it's too difficult unless you're already familiar with the home sales industry. Other common products include pest control, security/smart home systems, cable, etc. All of which are easier than solar, and yield much higher rates of sale. When I was backpacking, I signed up to a temp agency in Sydney, who would hire well-presented front-of-house staff, for corporate firms, who like to have a pretty, young, well-dressed thing, manning the reception desk, whilst their clients came. I often got paid $30 to $40 an hour to welcome clients, show them to their meeting room, pour some water, and order their catering. And that's all I did. In fancy beautiful offices, overlooking Sydney Harbour Bridge, etc. Once their regular receptionist got back from leave, I'd be popped onto the next one. I did a stint at Sydney University, at one of their newly built research centres. All I did was direct people to the lifts, and the right part of the building for their meeting. I made enough money doing this, to backpack through the entire east coast of Australia over 3 months. I'm an admin at a state university. I'm new, and do not affiliated as the country's civil worker. I don't know the proper English term, so, my salary is under minimum wage. However, other co-workers, who are civil workers, got paid 4-5 times bigger than me, plus tons of additional aid salary. Oh, may I add, we have the same job desks. The job desks. Honestly, it's depend on the semester. On the beginning, middle, and end of semester, it's real busy. Other than that, very slow days, checking students' attendance, finishing report, or answering students' administrative questions. Heck, I saw my coworker, who shared the same office room with me, came to work at 8:30 to 9 and left at 1 p.m. Often she spent the days on the office pantry, cooking and gossiping. I understand why civil workers got bad reputation in my country. Slacking off workers, yet humongous salary. Sometimes I hate coming to this university for work, because the salary is very unfair. We have the same job desks, yet vastly difference in salary. But, I'm still young, job is hard to find in this economy. At the very least, with the extra time I have, I'm able to spare time for graduate school, and in this university job, I'm able to build relations with professors and experts in academia. Sorry for the long rant. Not my experience, across the board, by any means. But I'm a paralegal, and I used to work for an attorney, who literally expected me to do her entire job for her, and I would just hand her the finished product on her way into the courtroom, so she could argue in front of the judge. I was getting paid $30,000 in salary, while she paid herself around $80,000 per year as an attorney, and she also collected rent on the building the law firm was in. So I guess, owner of a small law firm. Tenured university professor. My research professor, during undergrad, made $180K a year, public university, so all salaries are in a publicly accessible database, and he taught a single entry-level organic chem course to undergrads for 3 50-minute weekly lectures, and a specialized graduate course once a week, and managed 2 grad students who handled most of his office hours and grading papers. He was on campus 4 days a week for 6 or so hours at a time, and the majority of that was spent watching sports in his office. He did research through his grad students, and published a paper every few years or so, but other than that, he was clearly just resting on his laurels. It takes a lot of work, and dedication, and research, to become tenured. It's not like anyone can do it. My last job at Microsoft. My manager literally gave me nothing to do. I don't even know why I was there. In 6 months I did, maybe 3 weeks work. For a while it was very pleasant, but eventually looking busy gets harder than actually being busy. Then a reorg happened, and suddenly I had a competent manager, who was wondering why I existed. No problem, I just had to go get an actual job, before my review came up. All in all a great year. If you're young, 18, and a student, check out Security. We don't do shit, get paid over minimum wage, and no prior experience with anything required. Allied Universal will literally hire anybody. If you're a student you can watch lectures, study, and do homework. If not, then you can just chill and watch YouTube or Netflix, or browse Reddit. I'm at work right now. Chilliest job ever, with $20 per hour plus wages.